I truly believe that the feeling of desperation can cause you to go after things that you never imagined that you could achieve and accomplish under normal circumstances. Oftentimes, our dreams and visions can feel distorted, and many times they'll remain that way until we become desperate enough to find an answer. Back in 2015, I actually started doing projects for churches. I started making flyers, and it's funny because I didn't have anything back then. I didn't have a great computer. I didn't have any software. I didn't have any training or any of that. The only thing that I had back then was an iPhone 5. And it wasn't even the big one, it was the small one. I didn't even know what graphic designs cost. And so I would do them for free. And there were not as many apps like there are today where you can just go in and just create a flyer from scratch. I was using like 2 or 3 different apps. One app for the background, one app to add the pictures, one app to add the text to it. And if I could just be completely honest, they were not very good at all. You know, the Lord has brought me a long way because it was not a business. There was no inkling in my mind that I was going to turn this into a career. But as I started doing them and posting them to my social media account, I got more requests from it. And little by little, those $20 started adding up. The first thing that I bought after I had enough money was a new phone that was bigger. I think I got the plus version of the phone that I already had. And as time would have it, more requests came in, so I took the price up to $50. The next thing I wanted to do was get into videography. Videography had always been a passion of mine, but I had no formal training. I didn't really know a lot about editing. So I saved up for my first camera. It was not a big expensive camera, but it was actually a camera that I felt like I could utilize to actually better my skills and learn a little bit as I go. And with that, I actually started shooting videos. Now, the first videos that I shot were actually free videos. And that's one of the best ways to grow your clientele when it comes to photography, videography, is when you don't have a body of work to show people, you have to start somewhere. So I didn't have portfolios to show people that I could actually charge for the work. So I actually started doing free projects. And now I know there's a lot of people that'll say, don't work for free, but when you're starting off, sometimes you have to do that in order to grow your clientele base and even your portfolio so that you can charge later on. And so I started doing videography, doing projects for businesses, doing church promos, little things like that. And people were asking me to do birthday parties, engagements, little small projects starting off, but I made sure that I tried to give them the best product that I could possibly give. And so primarily, I wouldn't do a lot of this type of work during the week. I was already making a good salary, already had a good income, bought our first house, got married. And so this was something that I kind of just did on the weekends or when I had spare time. Shortly after graduating college in 2013, I began working in compliance for a pretty large aerospace company. I appreciated the fact that I had an income that could support my household, and also it had good pay, good benefits. And so I was truly appreciative and thankful to God that I even had a job, because I know that there's a lot of people who don't even have a job. But yet and still, every day that I would get up and go to work, I would almost dread it because I did not enjoy the work that I was doing. I didn't enjoy getting up and going to work every day. Every day after work, I would come home and I would just be tired. Not just physically tired, but it was more of a mental thing. I would just be like mentally drained from the type of work that I was doing. And I have a creative mind, but at the position that I was in, I was just kind of like boxed in, going to a cubicle, sitting at a desk all day, little to no interaction with many people, little to no interaction with anybody. So Wall Street became more than just a side hustle. It was more like a place of refuge. August 2019 comes around. I go to work, and I can remember that day so vividly because it was a Friday, and I woke up and it was just a beautiful day outside. And I remember saying that this would be a great day not to have to work. Little did I know that when I got to work that day, I was gonna be called into the office. Me and several other employees were laid off. I didn't know how to feel. I had so many mixed emotions leaving out of work that day. I think the first thing that I came home and did is I just got down and I prayed and I said, Lord, you're gonna have to help me, like really, because now I'm in a situation where it's not just me, but I got a wife, we have a house to take care of, and I just wanna be a good husband. It was tough. It was tough. I remember having to call my wife on the phone. I remember having to tell her. Before I called her, I was wondering how she was gonna take it. It was hard. It was tough to try to find the words to tell her, you know, we're planning to have a family. I done moved this girl all the way down here from New Orleans, and I don't even know what I'm gonna do for a living. The first thing my wife said to me is that it's gonna be okay. God is gonna take care of us. It was a long time before I would even allow myself to cry. You know, we hear that you gotta have faith. And why are you crying? Why are you pouting? Why are you sad? If you have faith that God is gonna bring you out. But one thing that I had to learn was that crying does not mean that you have a lack of faith. It just means that you're human. So I remember over the next couple of weeks, I pull out the computer and apply for jobs, looking for something similar to what I was already doing, trying to find things that related to my degree, which was accounting, hoping that somebody would have a position that would hire me quickly. Not really thinking that it was gonna take a long time because I had a degree. I feel like I carry myself well. I try to have a good standing image. Didn't turn out that way. Applying for jobs, going on these different career websites. There were a lot of jobs that looked promising. I went on a ton of interviews only to find out that they had hired somebody else. Same thing with career fairs. So it was extremely difficult. I was asking myself, am I not smart enough? Do I not know enough? Am I not polished enough? I can remember just like really being at my wit's end, just tired of it. One particular day that after I had just been all over town, going to job fairs and unemployment office and job searching, I came into my office and I got down to pray. And I'm not one of those people who always hears God speaking audibly and clearly, and you know, he's speaking to me all the time. I'm not one of those people, but being in prayer that day, the Lord said, I've already given you what you need to be successful. And I knew exactly what he was talking about. For so long, I was afraid to start my business. And when I finally started it, I was only half-heartedly giving my time and effort to it. I'm one of those people that I'm not going to quit a job that's paying me well with benefits and go and jump out in uncertain territory. But I love doing videography. I love doing photography. I loved it, and I wish that I could do it full time. But at the time, it was not an income that was sustainable, so I thought. But what I failed to realize is that perhaps the reason that it's not sustainable like I want it to be is because I'm not giving it 100% of my effort. And of course I couldn't because I was working somewhere else. So that day, I decided that for the next month, instead of stressing myself out, I'm gonna dedicate all my time, I'm gonna dedicate all my resources to trying to see if I can be successful in what I love. So it was incredible. All the things that I had put off for later, I said, I'm gonna do those now. If I had not gotten to the place where I was feeling desperate, I don't know if I would have had the courage to actually reach out for my dream. And I learned something very valuable from that, and that's to treat every engagement, to treat every project, to treat every assignment as though I'm desperate to make it work. Remember that feeling, that pressure of being boxed in with no other options, and allow that to be the driving force to keep my passion alive. And if ever I feel discouraged, I just remind myself of how far God has brought us, and I remind myself of the reason that we even got started to begin with. And if I could give you any piece of advice, listen, don't be afraid to step out on faith, and don't be afraid to bet on yourself. We see other people accomplish things and we just chalk it up to the fact that they just may be better equipped for it than us. It could just be that they just decided to jump before you. Some of the best business advice that a friend gave me, and I'll never forget it, is that when you don't know where to start, just start somewhere. I'm talking about desperation. I'm talking about being desperate to see what God put in your heart come to pass. And I would much rather live with the fact that I tried and failed than live with the fact that I never tried and I don't know whether or not it would have succeeded.